All right, let's get started. I'm hoping that today I will get a chance to maybe even talk to a couple of you guys, do a little bit of coaching on this specific topic of procrastination. Uh, Procrastination has been a very good enemy of mine for many, many years. And some people would actually look at me and go, "Well, you don't seem like the procrastinating type." Oh, no, 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 no. Believe me, believe me. Every one of us are procrastinators to some level. And so we're going to be talking about how sort of procrastination is sort of the death knell of life, right? Death knell of a lot of the things that we're trying to accomplish or build or do. Now, if you're new to me and you're not used to this type of language, understand that my expectation is that every man is a builder. I don't care if you're building a business. I don't care if you're building a family. I don't care if you're building a house. I don't care what you're building. You are called to build. You are made, designed to build something. The other part of that is that in your building, you are producing something, right? So you produce as a business owner, you produce in your job, you produce in your family. I mean, just the very act of you having sex with your wife is all about reproduction, right? Which is where you produce in her energy in the form of sperm or whatever it's, yeah, sperm. And so within that sperm is an energy source that is meant to connect with her energy source to create or to produce children. So there's like an actual biological component to what I'm talking about. And if you procrastinate that journey, you'll never have children, right? If you put it off, if you don't actually have sex with her, you'll never have kids. The same thing goes with you putting off the things that you know you're supposed to do. Now, some of you don't even realize this, but in order to have sex with a woman, you have to get her emotionally ready to have sex. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. I didn't plan on talking about sex, but here we go. If you're wanting to have sex with her, you can't just go to her like she's some porn video and say press play, and she opens up her legs and starts masturbating or whatever the fuck you want her to do. She is a human who needs what? She needs you to be there emotionally for her. She needs you to emotionally connect with her. She needs you to be strong for her. She needs those things. And that never happens if you're constantly putting it off, if you're constantly putting off meeting her needs, if you're constantly putting off these things. And so I want to talk about procrastination at a level that hopefully you guys understand and see how it's affecting you. Because procrastination is essentially the putting off of something. I'll wait till tomorrow to do that. I'll get eventually to it. And when we procrastinate, we can't procreate. When we procrastinate, we can't do anything of substance because we're constantly putting off what we know we're supposed to be doing. Now, many of you are like, well, I know I'm supposed to do it, but I don't know how, or I don't know what. And so the procrastination usually is some sort of stopping because of a barrier. So I want to read from you, or want to read to you from this book called Arete. I read this to my clients yesterday, and I talked about this with them as well. Excuse me. And I just thought it was a really good explanation. And he calls it procrastinating. Pain is in the anticipation, not the doing. Barbara Oakley taught one of the largest classes in history called Learning How to Learn. She also wrote a great book called A Mind for Numbers. In it, she talks about procrastination and shares some fascinating research. Did you know that you can take people who hate doing math and scan their brains and actually see their pain centers light up as they contemplate doing math? It's true. But here's the deal. Those pain centers turn off the moment they actually start doing the math. And it's got me thinking about guys wanting to do the emotional work. And we talk to men all the time about doing the work. And they hear the word work and they go, that sounds like work. That doesn't sound like fun. And when you really equate a relationship, most men think a relationship is fun. Why? Because I remember when I was a teenage boy and my friends and I would talk about getting married and we are like, yeah, isn't it going to be great when we can finally find that one hot chick and we get married and we can fuck her every single day? We can have as much sex as we want and we can do whatever and we don't have to worry about our parents and we can just be us in that sense. And that's the juvenile approach. That is the young man, the immature approach to a relationship, is that relationships are supposed to be fun. Now, I think relationships are supposed to be fun. And I do think sex is an incredible part of a relationship. And it is fucking fun as hell. I love sex. But if my only mode of operation is that relationship is fun, that means that if I have to work to have fun, I don't want to do it. And so I'd rather just have fun. This is why men go into relationships trying to solve the problems with just having sex, thinking, oh, she's mad, let's have sex. Oh, she's sad, let's have sex. Let me give you a back rub. I saw a funny meme the other day on Instagram of this two animals, and one animal was licking the other animal, and the lady said it was just supposed to be a back rub, and it turned into this. And kind of joking around how men will use the, oh, let me just give you a back rub, and next thing you know, he's trying to eat her out, or he's trying to kiss her, he's trying to do whatever, he's trying to fuck her. Why? Because that's the way men are wired. We're wired that sex is our connectivity, it's our intimacy. And so if you go into this relationship thinking, oh, relationship's supposed to be fun, we're supposed to go on vacation, we're supposed to have kids, we're supposed to just have a lot of sex, and that's my mindset, then thinking about work doesn't sound fun. I don't want to do that. Like, I want to work at my job. I don't want to work at my relationship. I don't want to work on having to get better. I don't want to have to learn. I already went to school. Why should I fucking have to learn anymore? And this is the mindset many of you take on when you come into this world and you're like, oh, man, I got to work? Shit. Who wants to work? I don't want to fucking do that. That sounds horrible. Man, I got to face my demons. Man, I got to face my traumas. Man, I just want to forget my past. I don't want to think about that. Great. You can put off and procrastinate that, but it's the reason you are here right now because of procrastinating. It was the anticipation that was painful. Actually doing it, not so much. Here's the thing is that when you think about doing the emotional work, when you think about learning the skill of communication, when you think about healing from the pain, when you think about becoming a leader and actually changing your mindset and changing the way you talk and actually leveling up to a new level, if it sounds painful, it's because it is. But here's the thing, it's not the part of doing the work that's painful, it's the anticipation of doing the work that's painful. Many of you have not moved forward, whether it's coaching with us or therapy or whatever, or actually dove into these things because you're so afraid of facing yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with men who are like, man, this sounds great. And being that guy sounds amazing, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can actually change. I don't know if I can actually do the work. And I'm like, bro, is it possible that it's not about your ability to change as much as your ability to accept that you aren't who you want to be and accept that your pride needs to fucking die here because your ego is in the way. And if my ego is in the way, it's stopping me from becoming the man I want to become. And that is the procrastination. That is the thing that puts us back. And so he goes on to say, all of which leads us back to you. Are you procrastinating on anything? Of course you are. You're human. I procrastinate on shit all the time. But that's why I have accountability. I hold myself accountable. I have other people around me that hold me accountable. And in doing so, the whole purpose of that is so that I don't procrastinate and put off the things that I know to do that would make me successful in all five dimensions of my life. You've heard me say the five-dimensional man is you as a lover, you as a producer, you as a father, you as a man, and you as a leader. All five of those dimensions I want to thrive in. Because if I'm thriving in those dimensions, guess what? I'm having fucking fun. Guys, when you make a lot of money, it's fun. When you have a successful relationship, it's fun. And all those things are fun, but they all take work to have, right? Just like if you want to have a great body, like my dude here is always working out on these calls, right? It takes work to get there, but guess what? He gets to have fun with that body, whether it's in his sexual life or his emotional life or whatever, because he has the physical wherewithal to have eaten right and to do the things he does in the gym. He doesn't have the stress that some of us have when we have diabetes and high cholesterol and all this other shit because he's taking care of his body so he gets to have fun. And he might even get an extra 20, 30, 40 years because he's taking care of his body. So it all correlates. Is that if you want to have fun, you have to do the work to line up with that fun. Procrastinate. The pain of waiting is much greater than the pain of actually doing. The pain of waiting is actually much greater than the pain of doing. It's the anticipation that's getting you stressed out. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about right now. What are those things that you are procrastinating? What are those things in your five-dimensional man, whether it's you as a producer in your job, your business, you as a leader, you as a man, your internal world, your external world, you as a father, you as a lover, maybe in your relationship. What are the things right now that you are procrastinating on? So what I want you to do is I want you to take that thing and I want you to really look at it and uncover. Let's journal it out. Maybe a journaling exercise here, right? Where you go, okay, what do I fear the most about doing this thing? I want you to ask yourself that question. What do I fear the most about doing this thing? Maybe it's having a conversation with your wife. Maybe it's having a conversation with your children. Usually it's around conversations for most men. And what I find when I ask this question is, what do you fear the most? This is where we can start getting to the levels of fear. I have this exercise in Thrive I call 5 lies, and we take all the lies that we've been believing and get to the depth of those so that we can understand what is the truth about our situation, what is the truth about what I'm believing. Because all of this comes back to what I talked about a couple weeks ago, the stories I'm telling myself. So when you think about procrastinating, it's like, what's the story I'm telling myself about this thing? If it's to have a conversation with my wife, what is the story I'm telling myself? We had this yesterday with my Thrive clients. He said, I'm afraid that she's going to blow up. Got it. So your fear of her blowing up is keeping you from doing it. That's your procrastination. He said, yeah. He's anticipating the worst. He's anticipating through first order of consequence that if I have this conversation, first order of consequence is she's going to blow up. I said, okay, what is the worst of that happening? He said, well, I would feel overwhelmed. I would feel stressed. Okay, you'd feel overwhelmed. You'd feel stressed. Then what? He's like, I know. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that that overwhelm and that stress is essentially your inability to handle her emotions. Yes. And I said, furthermore, it's actually more about your ability to handle your own big emotions. And because you can't handle your big emotions, you can't handle her big emotions. It's like, shit, yeah. And this is the crux. But this man is doing the work. This man is leaned into a program. This man has accountability. Most of you here don't because you're procrastinating. You're putting off the thing that you know to do because you're afraid. Financial issues, spiritual issues, whatever, emotional issues. I had a guy last week who was wanting to join our Thrive program, but was scared shitless, and it had nothing to do with money, which I was shocked about. It was everything to do with, he was being totally honest. He's like, I'm afraid because I'm not in a good mindset right now that I'm not going to be able to do any of this. And so what he was telling me was he would rather spin his wheels and stay stuck in his mindset than actually lean into something, get control over it, and do the work. He feared that. And so in his fear, he stayed in paralysis. And I don't know about how many of you, but like I've had this many times before. There is paralysis in analysis. When we overanalyze the situation, when we overanalyze what our wife is saying, when we overanalyze our thoughts and feelings, we come to this place of paralysis. I don't know what to do. And you just look for a man. Somebody tell me what to do. So many men come to me and they're like, just tell me what to do. And I'm like, brother, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not your fucking God. I am not your Holy Spirit. I am just a man just like you. What I can do is I can give you the tools to help you decide what you want to do because that is accountability. And that is what being a real man is about. Every man has to make a choice. Every man has to make a decision on who he wants to be. He has to choose for himself what direction he wants to go in, whether he wants to save his marriage, move on from his marriage, whether he wants to fight for his wife or fight his wife. Ultimately, you have to make that choice, and only you and you alone can make that choice. I can't make it for you. But so many men want to procrastinate. We want to procrastinate that thing in our life. And we don't want to give it its fair shot because it really comes back to you and your inability to make a decision for yourself because of fear. It always comes back to fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of what can happen. So appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.